Pretty nice, huh?
It was very zen.
Very zen.
Nice day at the beach. All right, so Jamie, what are we looking at?
We are looking at the newest product in our View 1 line. This is our View 1 Mini. So the View 1 Mini, this is a 12-foot wide by 7-foot high LED screen, 1.8 pixel pitch. And what's great about this screen is it's on wheels, so it's mobile. You can move this anywhere around in your studio. Also, the screen can raise, can move up and down on a pneumatic stand. So you can definitely change your POV physically as well as digitally.
And someone gets this, how do they control it? How do they run it?
This is powered by Virtual Studio. So we sell with this our kiosk that of course comes with, and it's a nice big screen to help you move assets around. But like most things with Virtual Studio, you can operate it off your phone or a laptop as well. And let me just play this. We have it loaded on Virtual Studio. Here we are in a convenience store. Whose arm is that?
It's all the backgrounds on the screen right here.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
We all shot it right here in this setting. So it wasn't even a very big set either. You know, this is a great example of something that can be shot. We're in the mountains, but we're only in the 20 by 20 foot production zone. So this is a really great example use case of how you can use a small space, a small screen, and do some big time productions.
And what are the use cases you're seeing with who would use the View Mini?
You know, you and I started off like we're sitting here on a beach. That was a great use case. You could just as easily pull a car in here, do driving plates as though you're driving through. Our marketing team a couple weeks ago spent a few days doing a whole variety of use cases inside of convenience stores, at a tailgate outside of a football stadium, in front of a mountain lake, in front of a beach. So there are a lot of shots that you really don't need to have a whole massive wide scale to do that. All you need is what's going to fit in your frame. The three biggest problems that we have found when we're trying to help people get into virtual production themselves, number one is space. Not everybody has a soundstage. Some people have small production rooms. The next one is price. Not everybody can float several $100,000 or over $1 million to shoot on something volumetric, nor do they need to. And then lastly is staff. How are they going to operate it? And of course, not everybody has the means to have a full VP staff. And so with those three things, we have found that this is a great solution for your small production companies, for your colleges, someone who needs to come in and just get a lot of content done quickly.
And some examples, like what are some of the backgrounds people are going to use, or what are some of the, if you guys want to switch backgrounds or show some of the variety that we can.
Sure, yeah, so as we're talking and then just going through, what's great about shooting on plates is plates are just anything that's two-dimensional, something that's not in a 3D space like Unreal Engine. So right here, you're just looking at locked off high-res MOV, files that are just playing. So you can play video images as well as AI-generated 2D images or JPEGs that you find off of Shutterstock.
Is it easy enough if you wanted to do a set extension or something, like if you were like, we wanted to have a big wide shot, but we just need to film this part with the talent. Can we extend? More easily extend?
Great question. We did a product showcase with the View 1 Mini, and we had two people standing side by side. It was full body shot. Of course, we saw everything off of the LED wall. And then using generative fill in Adobe Premiere, we were able to fill in the entire thing set extension, and it literally looked like we were live on that location.
So Tim, what was the idea behind the View 1 Mini?
Sure. Well, our first View 1 came in a lot of different sizes, and we found that customers more and more were leaning towards the smaller units. And as we started to look at what are some of the things that would make this even more practical and more usable for more people, and we found that there was two common things. One was, could it be on wheels that we could move it into any room, go underneath the door, make it through? And then two, could it get plugged into a standard outlet? And so we engineered the View 1 Mini with kind of those two things in mind. It has a hydraulic lift, so it takes the screen up and down, and that's really useful when you're shooting. But the big thing is having all of these systems combined into one and plug it directly in the wall. That really hasn't been done before in virtual production.
That's awesome. So you can just plug this straight into just a regular power outlet and power the whole screen.
It's like a big TV, but it's got integrated tracking, it's got automated lighting, all the things that you would want in a production kit.
Nice. Yeah, so tell me a bit more about the automated lighting and the tracking.
So two of the things to really pull off the magic trick of virtual production is to get the composition right and then to get your lighting right. And so one of the ways that we help with that is there's 2 lighting bars on the sides of the unit that pixel map to whatever you have. So if you have a night scene with maybe a red neon light, these will actually emulate that light, and it's a much brighter than the LED can. So you can like really start to get some of those accents. And the other part of it is that it'll chase things as well. So if you have a scene where maybe there's sirens going on and off, you'll actually see the pixels moving to give you that automated look.
Nice. How do you see that expanding further to like the other light fixtures that you might have around your View 1 Mini?
Well, the cool thing about it is it's not just the integrated lights here. It'll do up to 16 channels. It's a standard DMX signal, so you can do it to really any light package that you have.
Okay, so if you already have lights like an aperture light or something with DMX lighting, you could connect it to your same environment that you're running on the View 1?
Yeah, so our goal right now, it's really in the early stages, but our goal is to get it to where every scene could be saved with the lighting all set up in there. So you just click one button and your whole entire set comes to life.
That's awesome. And what type of content are you seeing being used on this type of screen?
Well, a lot of what we see the View 1 Mini used for is single person or 2-person talking head scenes. When you look at corporate education, a lot of it is, can I get a really good dialogue and then also just have a nice looking background? And so this is a great use case for that. Today we had set up a scene of 2 people on a beach, and you can really also get some cinematic, good looking shots, you know, for short form films or whatnot. So it's a pretty broad use case. I mean, the key is that it is smaller than most of the big volumes you see. So it's more a 1-person, 2-person kind of shoot, but it does a great job at that.
Real quick, if you are enjoying this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And now back to our interview. And so we kind of talked about this on the podcast, but you said you saw the trend being not big stages like there, but the trend going into smaller virtual production stages. So does this kind of tie into the trend that you were seeing?
Well, it is, yeah. You know, we were looking at the virtual production market for 3 years now. And I wrote in the white paper that small is the new big. For years, almost a year and a half, it was everyone was making the biggest stage, then the biggest stage, then the bigger stage. And then we started seeing more and more of these smaller stages, and it almost got to a point where people were saying, all right, how small can you make it where it's still performant, but it doesn't take up the entire room? And so we feel like this is the perfect size. You know, it's about 13 and a half feet on the diagonal. So it fits in most standard rooms and still gives you the performance of a large screen.
Tell me about the tracking system that's going to be integrated.
Well, the cool thing about the View 1 Mini, it's the first display we know of that has its own integrated tracking system, and it's an optical tracking system, outside-in style. So you have multiple trackers above the screen and on the side that when you have the camera, it's actually calculating its position 2,000 times per second. So we've introduced a iPhone tracker about a year ago. This is now the second version of it that allows you to do even more performant tracking than before.
And so are you placing a tracker on the camera that is tracking its position?
Yeah, there's a small tracking head that goes on the camera. It's about 1.5 inches. The only thing it needs is to be facing forward towards the screen, and they can track it from about 25 feet away.
Okay, and then the actual trackers are going to be in the screen, so you don't have to mount stickers or permanently mount anything anywhere. It's just going to be self-contained.
Yeah, what's really nice is essentially the constellation of trackers is built into the frame already, and it's at very specific distances. So there's no calibration, there's no setup time. When you turn the screen on, the tracking is active right away.
Okay, that's awesome. And then that integrates with whatever your virtual environment is?
Yeah,
I guess explain it.
So the active tracking, the way that it works is there's 2 modes on the virtual studio system. When you put it into 3D mode, it's then active in 3D space. It'll move around with it. When you're in 2D mode, the plate stays stationary on the screen, so it turns off the tracker. We just created a new mode which gets launched in September called 360. And essentially for people that have the original View 1 system or are using the View 1 Mini, when you move your camera, it's actually using it as a 360 scene. So you can turn the scene around, but it stays pinned to the single origin point.
So what do you get in the View 1 Mini and what's the pricing?
Yeah, so the View 1 Mini comes, as you see right here, 12 feet by 7 feet on the stand. It's $99,000.
Where can people find out more about the new View 1 Mini?
I work on the sales team, so I'm definitely one of the prime people to talk to about learning more, demoing, or purchasing a View 1 Mini. Of course, online, view.network will have a lot of information about all of our View 1 products, including the View 1 Mini. And then very soon we'll have a lot of those demo videos that we put out, because what we really want to do is we want to show people what's possible. I think when people look at this, they think, well, there's no way that I could shoot a commercial on something this small. Our marketing team definitely showed tons of use cases and really wanted to get the creative juices flowing. So I'd be happy to send that out to anybody.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jamie.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about Vue, check out my interview with Tim Moore, the CEO.